is an overview of Sample Magic's Ultimate Effects sample pack. This is a sample pack that's been primarily designed for electronic dance music, and it's pretty versatile to be used in any of the dance music styles. It contains over 1 gigabyte of high-quality 24-bit effects samples that are all conveniently labeled and categorized for easy browsing. So we're just going to take a look at the home directory here, and we see that it's been neatly organized into folders. So we're just going to preview some of the sounds, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how you'd use them in a track, so you get an idea of how you would use this sample CD. We'll start off with crashes and cymbals. So these guys are applied with some sparse effects, but they don't overdo it, so the samples aren't all washed out. There's definitely been a tasteful application of effects to enhance the samples, but not to make them sound too wet so that you can't apply your own effects to them afterwards. Next section are falls and descenders. They're organized into tempo synced folders here. So we have 125 BPM and 128 BPM. Now the valuable thing about that is you can drag them and drop them into your sequencer, and they will automatically time stretch to be able to fit your track. So in this case, we have Ableton's sequencer set at 115 BPM, and if we drag one of these in, this should automatically tempo sync so that it's the right timing and length within our project. Let's just preview a couple of these sounds. The next category is fills. And again, these fills are each separated into tempo synced folders. So we've got classic fills, glitch fills, new rave fills, and twisted vocal fills. I, in particular, write a style of music called glitch hop, and I really like the glitch fills. So we're going to check out some of these. Let's check out some of the classic fills. So these are a little bit less electronic sounding, a little bit more acoustic drum kit sounding samples. We can check out the new rave fills. Fills are always something I like having a lot of, and I'm quite thankful that this sample pack has a good chunk of them, because fills are things that definitely enhance a track, and they're really time consuming to be able to create and edit yourself by hand, so it's really nice to have a good bank of sample fills to be able to use in your production to speed things up. Next up, we've got impacts and bombs. And so these would be great for drops or for breakdowns to mark the beginning, usually typically with some decaying effects on them. So these are great to accent key points in the track, and they have long reverb decay tails on them, so they decay nicely over time. One of the things I should point out is that with any one of these effects, they are enhanced by layering them up. So you can create your own unique sounding effects by taking several of them and stacking them together. Just to give you an idea of what some of these would sound like, we've got the layered effects examples folder. And so this just gives you some examples of how the effects would sound and gives you some guides to go on when you're creating your own effects. So we definitely encourage you to experiment around with these and create your own unique sounds out of these different parts. Next, we have machinery hits, again divided into tempo synced folders. So there's some really great industrial sounding machinery sounds in there. Now we have noise and detail loops. So these are rhythmic loops that would be great to add texture to an existing drum loop or drum track. Now we have orchestral hits. So primarily large, big room sounding orchestral percussion. Next, we have risers and lifters. So these are great transition elements between different phrases in your track. So as you come up to the end of a phrase, or 8 bars, leading up to that, you oftentimes have a riser or a lifter, which builds anticipation of the drop of the next phrase. Now we have synth effects. These are divided into chords, reversed, or singles. So chords will be a stack of chord, and they're all labeled here so we know what the root key is. So that's important. You can find ones that are in key with your track, or if you're loading them into a sampler, then the sampler, you'll know the root key very easily to be able to get the sample to play in the correct key. So this one, for example, is in the key of A, the key of F, key of C sharp. Let's check out some of the reversed ones. Again, they're labeled with their root key. And some of the single hits. Those sound pretty good in my opinion. I've checked out a lot of different sample CDs, and out of the ones that I've had an opportunity to listen to, these are some of the slickest sounding effects. I really like these guys. Last one are tape, vinyl, and static effects. And these ones have a variety of interesting sounds to them. Let's take a preview of some of them. So some of these vinyl crackling noises are interesting to add some texture into a track. I oftentimes like to do that to give something the kind of warmth, sound of old school vinyl into a new digital track. So these are very useful. So that pretty much runs through all of the different folders in the structure here. And one of the things that I'll also mention just on our way out is that the sounds are quite loud, so when you are stacking and layering them up, make sure you stage your volume properly so you're not going to overload the track or the bus or your master out. And any of these different elements you can reverse. So let's say, for example, we want to take an impact. We drag that into our sequencer. We can take that, we can actually reverse it here so that it leads up to it and becomes almost like a riser. And there you have it. That is Sample Magic's Ultimate Effects Sample Pack. We've just done an overview of all the samples that are included, and definitely a solid sample pack in my opinion. Cheers.